Who are your mentors now? You mentioned Melanie Newman, that you talk to her a lot. Like who are you going to for advice, and who are you going to even vent about things with?
Melanie Newman, I don't go to her a lot. I go to her for too much. But yeah, so me, her, and Danny Wexelman. Danny Wexelman does literally everything. You're a Mets guy. You know who Danny is. She does SNY, MLB Network Radio, ESPN, SEC, ACC, all of the C's, all of the things. We have a group chat that has literally saved my life. So I definitely go to them because there's certain things that we as women go through that men won't understand. Like, for instance, this. I bet you, Brandon, you prepped, of course. You didn't have to do anything to your face, right? To come on camera.
No, woke up like this.
I did not. I had to curl my hair. I had to put makeup on. Had to do all like the. Have you ever done top eyeliner, Brandon?
No, I've watched my wife do it, but I have not attempted to do it
And
myself.
you respect your wife a lot more now, don't you?
Oh yeah, of course.
Boom, there it is. So imagine having to do all of that, and people like just go on camera without makeup.
Right.
First of all, no, absolutely not. I don't care if 4 people see this. I'm not showing up looking homely. So we have to do the prep in multiple ways too, and it's just how we present ourselves. So we have like the extra stuff we have to deal with. Like going on camera, there was times I'd look at my body and say, I couldn't tell you anything that I said because I'm so nervous that somebody's going to pick apart what I look like crazy. And they don't do that with men, so we have all that extra stuff. So they've helped me with that. Susan Slusser is, when I got on the A scene, she just taught me how to literally report. And that means and she told me one time, I was like, I asked a stupid question today. She's like, Jess, I've been covering this team for 20 plus years. I ask stupid questions all the time. And they're not even stupid questions because you never know the answer you get back. And so she taught me like it's okay to ask the stupid questions. And I quote that because I call them stupid questions doesn't necessarily mean that they're stupid questions. So she's certainly helped me a lot. Amy Lawrence from CBS Sports Radio, phenomenal. Like she's really helped me a lot too. And I'm so appreciative of her. And so like those types of women, and like I just met Susan Waldman the other day, and even like whenever every time the Yankees are in town, it's just like, and she just walks up to me and says, "What do you need from me?" And like it's like not many women do that. Like Julia Morales, same thing. When the Astros are in town, she's like, "Do you need anything from me today?" And I've adopted a lot of the young girls too, like Paige Lecky, Kennedy Landry, Molly Burkhart, all these girls from MLB.com. And Sonia Chen is a freaking prodigy. She does MLB.com stuff as well. So as much as I'm getting mentored, I'm mentoring as well. And I've had chats with Katie Nolan too, like just the stresses that we've dealt with. And so they've definitely helped me a lot. So those women for sure. And I got to meet Kim Eng, and it was the most starstruck I've ever been. And she gave me an interview, and it was fantastic. Imagine covering somebody for 5 or 6 years saying that she almost got a job, almost got a job, almost got a job. And then she's on my show as the Mets Marlins GM. Good Lord, Marlins GM, and she's telling me that she almost gave up a few times. And so I'm like, okay, we're all like kind of on this shit show together. And I think that that's super important. So those women for sure have made like a massive impact on me. And I feel like without the women, like we wouldn't feel like we were, it's just different, and Trisha Whitaker, same thing from the Rays. She's been fantastic. And I can't tell you the amount of times where if I need a favor, they're just there, they just get it. And that is like, that's huge. It's new. A lot of times, like people wouldn't respond to DMs and stuff. So I'm very thankful for them.
How is mentoring other people now? That is that rewarding? Is there? This is like a little bit of a weird question, but it's such a competitive industry. Is there ever a sense of like being concerned that you're helping people that are trying to make it in this industry and maybe get jobs that you might want at some point?
And it's funny that you mentioned that. Like, there's been times where people have stepped on my toes. Absolutely. Very recently. So, and I think from that point of view, there's definitely been times where I've applied for the same job as one of my best friends. She got the job and she called me and I was like, oh my gosh, no, you're perfect for this job. So these things happen. There's a difference between helping somebody out. I've literally been sitting next to one of my best friends, not physically, but like in the Zoom room, and we're going for the same job. And I would text her and say, they're going to ask you this, they're going to ask you that, they're going to ask you this, they're going to ask you that. And so, like, those things certainly exist where I'm helping somebody else. There's times where people will try to ride my coattails, absolutely, which frustrates me. I can't tell you the amount of times I'll go on a show and somebody will message them saying like, "Hey, Jess said that you'd come on my show," when I wouldn't say these things, you know. And I definitely know that, like, I've been mentoring girls, none of the girls I've mentioned, of course, but I've been mentoring girls and I've given them advice and they're like, "Well, I don't want to do that. Can I just like come to a game and shadow you?" And I'll say, first of all, that's like not a thing, because you have to go through Major League Baseball, these other things. And no offense, but I don't think you've earned it, you know. And I don't think that like, I worked very, very hard, and you have to attach your name to this person. That's like your reputation. That's all these other things. So those certainly have happened, but I don't think I've ever gone for a job with somebody like in a negative way that we were like, "Oh, I'm out to get her." Like, it's definitely
Right.
been the people. And that's a beautiful thing too. If I'm on the same level as somebody else who I think is just fantastic, I'm like, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe they think I'm on the same level as her and we're both being interviewed by like, that's crazy." That means they see something in me that this other person has and I look up to them. Like, that's always a positive. But there's a lot of young people who are like, "Can you just be my mentor?" And I don't think they know what mentoring means. Because mentoring doesn't mean I'm going to carry you into the clubhouse and give you a job. That's
Yeah.
not what mentoring means. Mentoring means is if you have advice, I'm going to help you. Mentoring means if you have any questions about how to interview somebody, I can help you. I cannot hold your hand through the process. And I think about this a lot when I think about the Michelle Beadles of the world and the Sarah Spains of the world. If they were to offer me 1 second of advice, that's mentoring in a way. But the road is still bumpy, right? They paved the way. You hear that, right? We paved the way, shattering glass ceilings. But if you think about it, paving the way doesn't mean it's still a smooth ride. You shattered glass ceilings, there's still specks of glass on the floor. There's still a lot that we need to go through. And so I feel like that's why I'm successful, is because I knew it was bumpy. I knew I love the bumps. Like, it's like when you, like, you know, those weird people who are like, "I love turbulence. It feels like a roller coaster." First of all, you're a psycho. Second of all, I get where you're coming from, because I like the challenges that are brought to me. These people can't learn if they don't deal with the bumps and the bullshit and all the things that you're thrown at you. Because for me, you have to go on camera, you have to go on the radio, you have to be a certain way. It doesn't matter what you're going through in your private life, like, you have to deal with it. Like, my mom just died of cancer recently. My grandma died a week ago. One of my best childhood friends died a week and a half ago. And I could take time off if I need to, but I can't, I don't want to. It's my therapy. So these things happen. And I don't think that those people understand it. They just think you put a microphone in front of you, you ask a question, and life is good. It takes a long time to get to the right spot where you can be this certain person and develop the relationship and do what you need to do. Brandon, I think you can understand it too. Like, vulnerability is very important to ask the questions, right? Like, you have to understand, like, there's a bigger question than just saying like, "Hey, you went 0 for 4. What was working for you?" Or obviously what wasn't working for you. There's so many things you can broaden in those questions. And you have to like dig deep and understand that there's more than just a mechanical situation there. Like, "Oh, I worked on my hands." Okay, what was that process like? You have to like do the follow-up questions and make sure that they're willing, but you can't be vulnerable if that person doesn't trust you or know that you're being vulnerable as well. And that helps when in that regard. And I feel like a lot of people are so surface level about it. So it's definitely I won't just mentor anybody because I've been screwed over in the past because of it. And so, and it's no different. Like, if I'm dating somebody or I'm a friend with somebody, they deserve like my full attention, but some people don't.